Hey, Ron Cruze here, and today I'm going to turn a square bowl, and I've got a hunk of ambrosia maple here. It's 12 inches by 12 inches, and it's about 3 inches thick, and you can tell how it looks like it's been laying on the ground, and it's got some spalting in it and stuff, but that's the ambrosia, and that'll show through as we start getting down in there, and that's what's the fun of turning is to see what's inside the bowl and inside the wood and what comes out. You really don't know what's inside yet, but it's called ambrosia because it's an ambrosia beetle gets in the wood and makes marks in it, you know. And right off the bat, I'm going to find the center of this. But you don't have to put your bowl right in the center, but for this demonstration here, I want to show that we're going to put it in the center. So I'm taking this ruler here, any straight edge, and you go from this point to the other point here, and you can take a pencil, or like I'm taking a sharp object here, and you're going to make an X here this way and across this diagonal and make a mark, and that's the center of that. And that'll help with the balance as it starts spinning around. So now I'm doing the other side too. Go from this side to this side, make a little mark. You don't have to mark all the way across. That's a waste. So just in the center here where they intersect across. Okay. And right now I have a chuck up here. I might open it up some with this key. Spin that open. And what I'm going to do is push this wood up against that chuck and have this tailstock, the point right here, push into this center thing here, and that'll hold it up against this chuck. So I'm making it a little bit bigger so this will be supported better. And get it open. This is loose now. I'm going to hold this up here, and put it up here like this. I sometimes just see the X, or I pull it toward it and then tighten this up. See it move. So I'm still tightening that up. This wasn't tight at first, so I have to tighten that up. And I'm going to put this tool rest here, and I'm going to use it. I'm getting it real close to the tip of the wood here. To see how close we are. That should be good. You know, I'm seeing if I needed to make it either go up or down or whatever. So that looks good. That's pretty tight. So you can tell if this moved, if this wasn't tight and this came loose. Some people tighten this up. I tend to leave it a little bit loose, but if you were to take this loose, or if this would go this way, this would come out of there because it's not chucked up on a faceplate or anything yet. That'd be one way of mounting it. As you can see, as far as safety goes, I've decided to go with a faceplate here, and you can see the X in the middle there. So I still put this faceplate here in the middle. Now I'm going to put it up here on the threads, turn the end here of the lathe. You know, I'm screwing it on there. I'm going to move this tool rest out of the way, because as you notice here, this would hit. This is going to hit this, so I have to watch for that. Even as we're making this real thin and everything, I don't want this to hit that. So you just have to plan ahead and watch out for things. Another thing I do is you can unscrew this and bring this spacer shorter here. But I like to have it out there a ways because it gives me more room right here to move this around, you know. Sometimes it'll be real tight there, so we're not there yet, so I'm going to screw this out. And you can even get an extension for this too, he has one. I'm locking this down. You want to make sure things are locked down. Now I've screwed that in there to the center point there. and it should spin freely. I'm going to turn it on. Turn it on kind of slow. And I'm not going to stand right in front of it either, you know. You don't want to hit me in the face. This piece probably weighs like 5 pounds or so, you know. And you can see this making like a ghost shadow here. It looks like it's solid here, but and especially when it starts going faster too. I mean, you just can't touch it there. It looks like there's nothing there, but it's really the corner of the bowl is going to hit you. So now I'm going to loosen this tool rest up, slide it up here a little bit. I'm going to lock this down. You want to get close to the piece, but not too close. And I'll show you with the bowl gouge here as you're on the tool. If you're hanging over this far and it touches the wood, it's going to really try to flip this handle up, so you would have to really be holding it down. But if you're only hanging over, it's a fulcrum thing, like a pry bar or a crowbar. So now that it's only hanging over about a ½ inch or so, you have a lot more. You may have 20 inches here, but if it catches a little bit, you're fighting that some. So right now these are tight. I'm about ready to turn it on. We have a speed control here. You want to sort of turn it on and see how it's going to, maybe the machine will start vibrating or something, or start walking all over the floor. Well, you're going to try to find a happy place so that you get some speed, but it doesn't vibrate too much. I'm going to put my glasses on, and you always want to touch the tool to the tool rest first. I'm going to start in here. I'm down on about a 45-degree angle here, and this is opened up at about a 45. You know, this point to this point here. And I'm going to use the tip of the tool there. I'm going to start touching there. And you should start getting shavings off of there. And the blank was cut maybe with a chainsaw or something, so it's not real smooth yet. I'm resting my wrist or hand on there, on the tool rest, and kind of sliding like a pull cut, pulling the tool toward me. And once we turn some wood off of here, it'll be more balanced, and we can turn up the speed a little bit, and it won't be vibrating. It's not vibrating very much right now, but okay, I just got done with that cut there, and I got a piece of masking tape, and I put it on the tool rest here, and I made a little mark there, a little arrow, and it just tells me as that's a ghost shadow spinning around there. Maybe this tape might even come off as I use the tool on it and stuff, but it sort of lets me know, don't put your finger there, this will chop your fingers off, you know, really dangerous. So now I got this measuring device, and I'm going to go over here and measure this chuck. And I've opened up the chuck a little bit, and then I'm measuring here. So I'm making that a little bit smaller. But you don't, if you close the chuck all the way up and you make the tenon here that's going to grab onto too small, you'll have to get another chuck to grab it. So I've measured that. I got it here. It doesn't matter if it's 6 inches or 4 or whatever. It's just you're going to make a mark here. Here's the center where this tailstock is. And I can see the line here where I've already cut some, so this is too far over, so I want to center this up. So I'll make a mark here, then I'm going to spin this piece by hand while I hold the marker there. And when I start turning the tenon on there, it should go inside that chuck. I'll put my glasses back on. And I got the tool here. Everything's still tight. Nothing has really changed. That's in there. Turn it on kind of slow. I stay off to the side, and what you'll learn doing square bowls and stuff, you don't ever just reach through there, you know, because you can see through there, but you don't. I always actually I act like I have a bunch of chips on my arm. So I'm going to pull the tool back, and I go like this, and then I reach over here. So it's just a habit of mine by turning some of these that I'm not going to get caught and hit by that piece. So I'm turning it up now. Right now that's 400, which is all right, but we can go a little bit faster because it's on the faceplate and it's got the tailstock pushing in on that. I'm going to go again at a 45 here. Touch the tip, touch on here first. And right where that line was, I'm going to start dipping in there some. And you choose how big of a chip you want to make. See how wide that is? Well, that's how far I'm pushing in. I mean, if I go real small like this, it would take me a lot longer to turn this piece. And some people like that. I mean, if you've ever turned a pin with a young child or something, they don't really know what the machine's doing yet. You're telling them everything to do. Well, if they, for 10 minutes, if they're just turning on the pin blank and they don't hardly remove any wood, then they need to go a little bit faster, so you have to push the tool in or help them out, So right now, digging in there some. And right now I'm just kind of anchoring my wrist on here. I'm putting a tool in there, and then I'm pushing on this handle, letting it pivot with my hand here. So there's like a lot of different methods people use, This one works good for me. I'm getting a good cut there. But right when the side of this bowl gouge gets a thicker cut there, you want to move and start again. Because anytime the edge of this bowl gouge is going to touch something and pull it down, that's a catch. So you don't want to do that. You want to be using the tip here like if this was up and down, if that's 12 o'clock on the clock, up and down. Over here to like 10 o'clock. Okay, that's where I want the chip at. You don't want it on the side here or anything. So I'm going to enter it in here again. And right now I'm turning with my right hand. I'm right-handed. But I usually do stand leaning against the lathe here. And I usually use my left hand this time. And I put it on here. The chips are going to fly to that side though. Then I don't eat all the chips, it's not in my face. See how the chips are coming off of there? Isn't that cool? The ambrosia maple, this is a softer maple, so it's a lot more, it's fun to turn. It's almost like peeling an apple that's kind of wet. But this piece is dry, it's not real wet. I know I said wet, but it just turns like a green piece of wood. I'm getting rid of some of that tip there. Then I'm going to come in here more. Come in here again. See when it's rubbing all the way around, right on the bevel there? Look at the chips. It's a solid circle, so you're getting solid chips. But when it gets out here, when it's just four corners, the chips are breaking up. The chips are only like maybe 2 inches long. And so I'm going to go. I got a bump here. Get rid of that. And I've turned a few of these, so I know that this is just a waste product here, so I can do anything I want. I can practice and play if I want to. See, I keep going like this. That's a different method. I'm just kind of rolling my wrist a little bit. And see how I'm making like maybe some people might like that on their bowl. Just go like that, go like that. Almost like you could roll a marble in there or something. Or if you made a platter to hold peanuts or something, you could use that design. So I'm just playing around. And then you can just wipe that all out by going across there. So it's a good time to practice. Okay, I just ended up there making a pull cut across there, and I noticed I'm getting a big ledge here. And again, you don't want that to hit the side of this. I'm going to keep coming in here, and it's going to try to pull this down and get a catch. So I've stopped the lathe, and I'm going to start again with the tip here, and I'm going to remove some of this blank here, about maybe a ½ inch or something. Then I can just keep turning on the inside here, and I'm not going to run into this. Another way to get out of that is, if I was coming across here with a pull cut, is to swing the handle all this way till it uses the tip again, but I don't want to do that. It's better just to I have to get rid of this material anyway, so I'm going to turn this on. Right now I'm going about 700 RPMs. Put this on here. Might stand here. At first, just take small cuts till you feel what it's doing. I can tell my tool's starting to hang over a little bit too much, so I might have to move the tool rest a little bit closer. It's a little bit safer and doesn't want to get as big of a catch. Okay, I've stopped the lathe again. I've removed some of this wood out here, and it makes it a lot easier for me to be in here and make some cuts and shape the bowl the way I want it to. But actually, I got a bread marker here, and say I made a drawing out here of sort of what I want, you know. You can make the top of your square bowl just like it is right now, flat on the top, but I like things curved. So say I started here and came to the center here, down again, and then however thick you want this square bowl to be, you know, say you're going to make it, we might make it about half that thickness. So I'm going to remove that wood until I get to that red line, you know. Okay, I've drawn that red line there, but it's like in oil painting and stuff, you have the license to do whatever you want to. I mean, we can make this do whatever you want. We could actually make the curved up, but we have to make our mind up right now where we're going. So I did draw that line. So on the end here, when I'm here by this arrow, I'm going to take off about 1/4 inch to get to that red line. But how am I going to get to the red line here? I mean, I have to go farther in, and you're not going to do it out here on the tool rest. Wherever it comes here, that's where you're going to hold the tool. So I'm going to go deeper in here to get to the red line, and I'm going to go just 1/4 inch here. But here I might go 1 1/4 to get in there. And I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to turn it on. So as I take off a little bit here, on the tip, and it's kind of a ghost right there. You can't really see, but I stop it again. I look for the line and see we're about halfway there. We're almost to the line. But watch when I go to the center here. When I start removing some of this. You'll see we're starting to, I mean, if I would have kept going, it would have made a curve here, which is coming closer to this, you know. But really, since it's got all the meat here and everything, you're trying to turn with as much strength as you have, with all these fibers here of the tree, to hold that like a shelf. You know, as I remove this, I mean, the tool's pushing on this some, so all this wood is still here to support that, so it doesn't break off. And some people want to cut the other way. They want to cut going against the grain, really. I mean, even though you think, hey, I'm riding the bevel and I'm doing everything right, I'm holding this at a 45 and 45. The straws, I call them straws, but as the tree grows up and down, you can see these lines. it takes the water up and down to the leaves and everything. This up and down motion of those straws, when this turns sideways here, now the grain's going this way, horizontal. You don't want to push in. If you had straws, you don't want to push into the end of that. You're fighting it. I mean, this tool's really not making a good cut and stuff. But when the grain's going like this, like I'm holding it, and you're going this way, you're almost cutting it like with a pair of scissors or a skew. You're cutting off a little piece, and that curve in there is throwing the chip off. You're cutting a little bit more and then throwing it off. Let's try it again. See right now those ends of the grain there. I'm starting here. I mean, we just removed a bunch of the ends of the straws. Now we're going to go back in there more. Got some more straws. So say these straws were 10 inches across there. Now it's 9 3/4. Now it's 9 1/2. I mean, when you're going the other way, and it does. See, it's more dust. You see these chips here compared to this dust. I mean, there's some chips, but it's still a lot of dust because it's not the way to go. It's better to go the other way. So I'm going to remove some more out here. I think I am going to stand using my left hand again now. And you want to be relaxed, you know. My hands aren't real tight, you know. You want to grip it so it doesn't come out of your hand, but you don't want to be uncomfortable, you know. You want this to be fun. I've stopped just to look at my shape here and everything because I want to choose what kind of form I want here, how I want the bowl to be shaped here. The bowl, because the square piece is just going to stay square and I'm going to have some curve to it. But you have to think about the bowl now, and that's what I'm going to figure out how to hold my tool, because if I hold my tool and just go straight forward with this bevel, it's going to make just like where this tenon is that we're going to grab onto with the chuck. If I just kept going that way, digging in there, I mean, the side of my bowl is just going to be straight like a dog bowl or something, but we're going to try to give it some shape so that it has some style to it, you know. And that, I'm going to do that, remove that until I get to this curve here in the middle. So I'm removing some of this middle. I actually put a piece of blue tape on there, which when this swings down here, it's almost telling me, hey, you're working on this. Because if I keep working out here and removing wood, it's just going to be curved the wrong way. I mean, I don't want that. I want it to curve downward, you know. And some of the other bowls I've done, I just like it curved down more. Okay, I'm going to turn it on and start it off. And this is still tight. This is still tight. And this is, I mean, sometimes that can loosen up here, the spindle. So you can tell it might turn a quarter turn or something. But it is still screwed on with a face plate up front here, which is holding it real good. That's driving the piece of wood, and it's holding it to the headstock, so it's not going anywhere. And I'd like to say, too, that say you are going kind of slow. See how this is rubbing here, and see how it's getting that cut there, that chip? See that chip there? Okay, so it's touching about an inch here. But when it's going here, once it releases from here, look at all this space. It's just riding air, air, air. And then if you push the tool in, bang! So if it's going slow like that, watch when I try to go here a little bit. See the tool bouncing around there a little bit? Okay, but when you're going faster, that was only at 80 RPMs. And when you're going faster, it's 500. It's just a smoother cut. Because the tool, when the air was there, it's not letting me push the tool in and then bouncing it back and forth. And again, I'm eating all those chips, or, you know, it's better if I stand the other way and just, it's, you know, you can practice either way. So right now, this bevel right here is rubbing on there. Feel it? You can hear it. So if I go this way, the tip of the tool here that's supposed to be cutting is not cutting. So I can just rub all day, you know. But when I swing the handle out some this way, that's when this is going to start grabbing some wood. See right there, I'm getting a little bit of chips. So that's how you control. I'm getting a little bitty chip right there. And really what you're watching is that shadow right there. I mean, how, that's about the thickness of a couple pieces of paper or like a piece of cardboard. But when I swing around more, getting a bigger chip, you can tell how wide it is here, and a bigger shadow line there and stuff. But also I'm almost getting that square thing again that I don't want. I want to stay this way. I'm just showing you how to ride the bevel, you know. So I started again there, and see I went out some, so it went off. I don't want that. I want to stay engaged there a little bit and get rid of those lines. And that's not the finished piece that the bowl's going to be. I mean, I'm just practicing with a good, clean, good cut. So now this stuff's in my way, so I'm going to come across here. I could actually keep digging in here, and you could go all the way to the top of the bowl. I mean, you would actually just have a bowl, and this square would just come off like a ring, you know, like people go through the bottom of their bowl, make a funnel, and they accidentally mess up, you know. Well, you can mess up here too. I mean, you can dig in there too far. So you can tell I need to almost connect this to here again, which is getting rid of some of this now. So it's playtime again, just use the tip of the tool. And if you have this up and down, you know, you're not going to get very much cut. And if you have it wide open, you're going to get a catch. Because the tool doesn't know which way to go, that way or that way, which way you're going. So when you have it at 45 and this is at 45, you know you need to go this way. Okay, I stopped working on the tip here a little bit because I think we want to be. I got this red line on here and stuff, but so I've worked on the center here a little bit, and we've taken more out of there. And as you can see, we're getting some of a slow curve there. And the way I did that this time was a push cut. Say we're here and we're riding the bevel here. I was going this way. I'll turn it on and show you. Even if you put this in here and you start riding the bevel, now you're going to swing the tool around until it starts getting a cut. You'll start seeing chip right there. You're seeing chips fly. Now I'm going to pull back because you don't want to hit that big thing there. We need to remove that. So I'm going to start with a smaller cut. Go that way some and do it again. You know, just do it again. Do it again. Now you're about ready to get the cut. See, we're to a big space there again. That you don't want this to grab because it's such a big. The chip will be like a ½ inch wide or something. And Can you see this curve pretty good though? How we're... Then when I work on the top here, we're going to remove some of this top till it's the same thickness there and make it... Anytime you're turning, this wood's not green or wet, but if you make things consistent, the thickness and everything, they don't tend to crack as much, you know, with the humidity and the heat and everything. So now I'm trying to get this curve in here and still blend it into the bowl here that I'm trying to make, you know. So I think I have to remove some of this wood here from here to here and shape my bowl however I want. And as you can see, we're getting the ambrosia beetles marks in here and stuff. And I couldn't tell where those were at when the wood was square, but you know. And it has a few holes too where they were the little bugs. There's usually 3 holes where the beetle goes in. I don't know why, like in and out, and bring in food. I don't know, you know. But it's always usually 3 holes. Okay, I stopped working on the tip here a little bit because I think we want to be. I got this red line on here and stuff, but so I've worked on the center here a little bit, and we've taken more out of there. And as you can see, we're getting some of a slow curve there. And the way I did that this time was a push cut. Say we're here and we're riding the bevel here. I was going this way. I'll turn it on and show you. Even if you put this in here and you start riding the bevel, now you're going to swing the tool around until it starts getting a cut. You'll start seeing a chip right there. You're seeing chips fly. Now I'm going to pull back because you don't want to hit that big thing there. We need to remove that. So I'm going to start with a smaller cut. Go that way some and do it again. You know, just do it again. Do it again. Now you're about ready to get the cut. See, we're to a big space there again. That you don't want this to grab because it's such a big, the chip will be like a ½ inch wide or something. And can you see this curve pretty good though? How we're... Then when I work on the top here, we're going to remove some of this top till it's the same thickness there and make it... Anytime you're turning, this wood's not green or wet, but if you make things consistent, the thickness and everything, they don't tend to crack as much, you know, with humidity and the heat and everything. So now I'm trying to get this curve in here and still blend it into the bowl here that I'm trying to make, you know. So I think I have to remove some of this wood here from here to here and shape my bowl however I want. And as you can see, we're getting the ambrosia beetles marks in here and stuff. And I couldn't tell where those were at when the wood was square, but you know. And it has a few holes too where they were the little bugs. There's usually 3 holes where the beetle goes in. I don't know why, like in and out, and bring in food. I don't know, you know. But it's always usually 3 holes. Okay, I'm going to try to work on the bowl here and get rid of some of this material here. So I'm going to go back to the other way, the way of cutting the grain, and it removes the chips really easy. And I'm doing it left-handed. See how I'm getting rid of that? So you just, anywhere there's a high spot, there's not a big high spot here, so I'm going to work on this hill right here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So now I'm going to rub here again. So I'm pretty much pushing that way toward the headstock. And not pushing hard, just letting it take however much wood it'll get rid of. When it sounded a little bit louder there, it's because I'm hanging over a little bit more. I could stop it and try to move the tool rest because I'm almost hitting here and here, you know. So I might be able to move the tool rest in here some and get closer, see? So I'm not hanging over as much. You don't want that rub in there, and you don't want these to bang. It's good to spin your piece before you even turn it on. So this is locked tight again, and I'm going to turn it on. Go back up to about 600. And now it's not hanging over as much. to go to this hand here, my right hand. And you just don't want to lay your arm on there because those can still hit it. Right there, I'm kind of putting my wrist on here on the tool rest and just leaning my body back and see if I can get a halfway smooth cut. Shut it off, look at it. If you can look at it from this side, now you can tell I've got a little bit deeper bowl here and stuff like that. Okay, I got a lot more curve here now, almost to my line, and I just want a good, clean, smooth cut, so I'm going to try to use a shear cut. So I'm holding this at a 45 again, but I've closed the tool all the way, and I'm just letting this one edge here do the cutting, but the other edge is going to be almost touching, just leaving a little bit of a gap there. So I'm going to turn it on. Go up to speed. When you touch here, you gotta be really careful and watch what you're doing. And you can go both ways. You can push this way or pull this way. Just like that. Have to work on it a little bit more, then I'm going to work on the bowl here, and then we're going to turn it around. Okay, I've moved the tool rest here. I'm going to work on the outside of the bowl here, try to get a good cut. Smooth and riding the bevel and just trying to hold my breath, just not be jerky so the tool doesn't jerk around and make lines. Look at that. It's a pretty sharp edge there, so I'm happy with that. You can tell I don't try to put my hand up there when stuff's turning. Here's that chuck that I sized up earlier with the calipers. These calipers here. And so it had a tenon on the bottom there. So now I reversed it and chucked it up, and I've tightened this chuck up with the key, and it's pretty tight. And I've put the tool rest up here so it's this way here, and I'm making sure nothing hits again because I'm going to start working on this side here. And I'm going to try to curve this here to match this thickness here, and I'm also looking at this side here so I can see. I'm going to try to make the bowl come up through the top a little bit and then start hollowing it out, you know. Now that I got this bottom curved like I want it, I'm going to try to start working on the top here and make it the same thickness through here while leaving the meat in the middle here so I can make the bowl stick up above there. And once I get that shape like I want it, because once this is thin enough out here, I can't go back to it. Once you remove all this wood and stuff, this is going to get so thin it'll, you don't want to go back to it, it'll start moving around. There's nothing supporting it very much, so then I'm going to start hollowing out the inside. I'll move this tailstock away, but for right now I'm going to use it to turn this. And the tailstock still help. Anytime you can leave the tailstock there, that's good for support and stuff. So I've already spun this, and this is tight, so I'm going to turn it on again. still go up to about 600 or 700. I mean, you could go up to 2,000, but I mean, if you get a catch, I mean, things are going to blow up. You know? I'm going to start slowly again, like I always do. You can tell there's still a little bit of bumpiness to it. I mean, it'll go right away. I have to do a lot of light cuts here so it doesn't get big chips and stuff. Remember those straws in the tree that are sucking up moisture out of the ground? They're held together with lignum, or you know, a glue that's in the tree. Well, that's all that's holding those together. As you go in here too hard, it's trying to chip those straws off. You know, it's trying to splinter. So before we were hollowing out the bowl, but now my mind is telling me, no, we're going to curve the other way now to match this bottom one. See, this is what I'm talking about here. Since there's no wood here to support this edge, these are trying to chip out. And sometimes this is a safer way of doing it. If you glue a 2x4 or something on here when we first began and rounded it up, these wouldn't chip out here. Okay, I'm going to start rounding the top now here a little bit. I just sharpened the tool, and I moved the tool rest up so it's about 1/8 of an inch away, so it's not, the tool won't be hanging over very far. And then I still got a lot of thickness there, probably like a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch. I want to shoot for kind of thin. This wood seems to be pretty stable and everything, and it should handle it, so I'm going to start working on this now. And I'm going to start in the center and come out toward the edge here. Going to get up to speed. What's at 700? Let's see how sharp this is. A lot better, I can feel already. Look at the chips coming off there. And since the meat and the weight and the thickness of the wood still in the middle, I need to finish up this outside out here first. And keep going that way toward the center. I mean, some people might even work on it like 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, something like that. Whatever feels good to you. I just know if I remove a bunch of wood from here in the center, make it real thin, then this is going to move around and vibrate and everything and not be as smooth as I want. You see where the chip's coming from here? 12 o'clock to about 10 o'clock again here. And I'm holding it here. See that? And you can tell the tool's not bouncing around or anything. It's getting a good cut, throwing a lot of shavings. You just have to, this tool rest has to be smooth and everything so it slides on there good and everything. And you have to pay attention to what you're doing. I have glasses on, but some people wear a face mask, which would be better. But you probably couldn't hear me as good now. A lot of demonstrators, they struggle with that. The crowd can't hear what you're saying. Right there, I'm putting the tool here and I'm leaning back. I mean, I'm not really moving my arms around. I planted my feet maybe shoulder width apart. I'm just leaning back and let this tool ride on here all the time. Now I'm going to go up here some. Then I'm going to stop it and look at it. See my thickness. I might be able to move my tool rest closer. See how I've got a thickness there? I'm trying to match that curve, which we're getting pretty close, you know. So I'm going to loosen this, get it a little bit closer. and it's not straight to the top here. It's better to put this point here and angle this as close as you can get it, sort of, so that when your tool comes across here. I'm going to turn it off and look at it. It's about as, thin as I want to go. So I just have to remember this measurement here and watch it up here as I go. Might get a little bit closer here, or more at an angle. So I have to turn this a little bit. Here I need to do more. I need to stand over here a little bit just so I can kind of do the side here. Just don't bump my arm. I'm going to try to shear scrape it here some. A lot of people want to scrape these off, but you just got to leave them there. Let it be. Okay, so now I'm going to start working on that part a little bit. It's a little bit thicker here, so I can take more off. You can tell I'm away from it now a little bit. I'm going to try to smooth it up some. lot of people have a tendency, look how close my arm is to the corners. You gotta remember, you gotta be over here some not get hit. There's probably a lot of different ways of measuring this and stuff, but the illusion I'm trying to give is that the bowl is at the bottom here, and it's going to poke through the top up here. So I've got this scale here. I'm putting it up against the side of the bowl here, and I'm going to make a mark here with the marker on this ruler. Then I'm going to put it over here and make a mark here, and that's the outside. So that's a measurement. Say it was 3 inches or something, 3 inches here. I'm going to try to make the bowl pop up through the top there a little bit. Instead of just having a curved top and dive into the bowl, I'm going to try to make it stick up there some. You'll see here in a minute, but that's just how I got the measurement from this side to that side. And you still look at it with your eyes. Your eyes can see a lot. You know, you can tell when somebody has something that's off at an angle or something crooked. You know, your eyes catch it pretty fast. Like, hey, that's wrong. So I'm moving the tool rest a little bit closer here. And don't turn it on or anything, but you can just put the marker here and just, if you hold it at an angle like this, spin it this way, because then it doesn't try to stop the marker from spinning. So you just made a line. I'm just saying if you held the marker down like that, spun it and goof it up. So right now, however thick I'm going to make the bowl, I want to start turning out the center there a little bit. So you can see the line pretty good with the red marker. So I'm going to make a couple cuts, just like we did when I was making a tenon or whatever. I'm going to make the angle of this bevel here. I'm going to make the angle of this maybe go with the ways here. So it's straight with these ways, so that I'm diving in like you were going to put a tenon on here, but you're not. You're just making the side of the bowl here. I'm getting rid of some of this wood. Once you dive in there a little bit, then start pulling toward me. Lean back or whatever. Because we're still working on the top here for the thickness and stuff. So we've established the bowl there. It's still just a little bit big, so I gotta cut it down just a little bit. Probably get rid of the red mark actually. What I'm looking for is, looking at the side, does this look like it is as big as that over there? And I probably could use this tool right here to measure this. Say I open this up. and just barely slides over it. See how it went over that? Now let's see if it goes over here. Just right, you know, so that's pretty close, huh? You get lucky every once in a while. Okay, I'm about ready to hollow out the inside of this here, and I noticed I was moving my tool rest around and everything. What I wanted to show you is that when I move this here, you want to get this centerpiece here almost in the center there, because I've been to a lot of wood shows and stuff, and say we're looking at this out here now. If you're holding the tool out here and you're working on this, see how much this is overhanging? Because when this wood is coming down and it's trying to push against your tool, it's transferring into this tool rest down through here into the legs. Well, have you ever been to the wood show? This is like cast off maybe a small Delta or jet lathe. These break off real easy. People don't know why they break this, but it's because you're out here. You want to try to have the tool more toward the center here of both these things, so it transfers down into this a lot better. So that's why I noticed when I was moving this around, that as I work on this, why would I use the tip of this out here when it's trying to break this off, you know, as you push down on that or get some kind of catch or something. So you want to move this out. So you're working more in the center here. I thought I'd say that, and now I'm going to turn this on, and you're just going to hold it up here again and start hollowing out the center. And some people drill a hole in there using a Forstner bit or something, but I'm just going to try to practice with the bowl gouge and just start out here. And some people sort of go in the center there first. Some people come out to the edge, but in my mind I have to think, how thick do I want my bowl to be? And a little bit thinner than this out here maybe, and I'm going to get started on that. Maybe about 700 again. Down as low as I can, about a 45. When I'm here, you can tell I'm hitting the tool rest here, so you can't go any lower there, but not here. And you're listening too, you know, is it getting the kid, is it, say this chuck was loose right now or something, and you could hear a noise like something's about ready to fly off, you would want to stop and tighten that up and stuff. So you're listening and watching and you're feeling everything as it's happening. I'm just slowly turning some of that away. But I am riding the bevel the whole time over here on this side of the bevel. Now we're pushing that way. And you can see how thick of a chip you're getting. So I mean, that's, and how wide these are. That's the chip that I like to take. I mean, and you can tell you can close it some, it's not doing as good, but when you open it up, I'm spinning that with my wrist. Hear it? You can hear the noise it's making as you're turning. And this is fun. It's fun if a couple people get together and one person doesn't know how to turn that good. It's better to just have somebody with you. They'll be like, hey, try these things, you know, try to see. This tool rest is in the way right now, so I'm going to shut this off and back this off some, because my tool won't get through there. Why make it tight for me? Why make it get a catch? I noticed when I was hollowing this out earlier, we had the headstock down here, and my back started hurting a little bit. So one of the features that this Paramatic has is, and some of the other lathes out there does too, you can loosen this one bar and slide the headstock down and put the tool rest down here too, so you can stand at the end here and you're not bending over and hurting your back all the time and you feel uncomfortable. And even like the tool's going to hit you in the face if you got a catch or something. So up down here, you're more like you got the tool by your body and you can still hold it at the right angle and everything. I'm going to turn it on here some. Been working on it some, trying to hollow it out. Now I'm going to try to start at the edge of the bowl here. Because right now it's maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. I'm going to try to make it to the thickness that I want it. I'm going to start here. And I'm, got it again, 45 degree and everything. But I'm sort of pushing toward the headstock to go down deep, and then I start curving around the bowl. Following the outside of the bowl that I already have. So here I go again. Every once in a while I pull back, get the chips away, so I can see what I'm doing. See how they're flying out of there? Okay, come back again. Again, I'm riding that bevel. Turn it around. You can always reposition yourself again by just don't put the point or the cutting edge in there. Just kind of swing the handle this way some and touch this first. You know, swing the handle back this way and touch this part of the bevel first. You're not going to get any cut yet. You can hear it rubbing, but then engage the cut. You're picking up the cut again. You can tell it's not bouncing around very much. I'm going toward the center there. Say I've been working on it for maybe 45 minutes or so. You don't want to go through the bottom now and make a funnel. That would be all this work, and it's like, I just messed up and went through the bottom. That'd be bad. We're getting some pretty color here and stuff. You know, the ambrosia's looking good. And I'm feeling it. I like the shape of it and everything. And all right, I like the lip here because it looks like the bowl extended through there. You know. But I would like to point out that I didn't know if the wood was wet or dry or whatever, but as it gets thinner and everything, look, some of the water is trying to fly out of, like I told you before, these are straws, like the water goes up the tree or down the tree. Well, right now some of the moisture is trying to come out, you know, but by having almost the same thickness everywhere, and if we put it in a plastic bag, maybe with some of the chips that we just had from turning the bowl, it might not crack at all. I mean, it'll probably make it, you know. You don't want the bowl to crack all up, you know. I have here a Robert Sorby, because on most of the bowl I've used a bowl gouge the whole time, you know, just one of these bowl gouges here that just had the fingernail grind. Right now, just to get the inside of this a little bit smoother, I'm going to scrape it with this. It's like a teardrop thing. It's got an angle on it here, but you don't put it in there like that. You flip it over like this. It has a flat edge ground on here. Now if I turn this on, you just apply it there, and you rock it back and forth. Doesn't take off a lot or anything because you're just trying to clean up some of your tool marks that you have, you know, get rid of any bumps or ridges. Then you're ready to start sanding with maybe 100 grit, 120 grit or something like that. Okay. We're using this tool here somebody invented for the thickness and everything. So I'm going to the outside of the bowl and to the inside, and whatever measures here is here. So I'm closing that. So that looks like about 1/4 of an inch or so. A little bit more toward the bottom though. It's a little bit thicker. But we do want some weight on the bottom of the bowl so that those wings, as it's sitting on a desk or something, say people put candy in there or something, or their change from their pocket, that it doesn't just tip over, you know, because the weight of these wings Doesn't weigh a lot. We've got it pretty thin and everything, but you don't want it to tip over. And we're going to turn this around. We're going to loosen this from the chuck and turn it around on a face plate with a piece of plywood on it, and push up against this and turn off the bottom with the tailstock on the leg. To wrap things up, I'd like to remind you about the body mechanics. I stand to the side here, I hold my arm at about a 90-degree angle, and where your elbow is, that should be at the center of the point here on your lathe. And if you're a little short, you might need to make a platform here like this one here. It could either be 3 inches tall or 6 inches, just to bring you up to height, because your body needs to be in a good, comfortable position. And I'm going to talk a little bit about tool sharpening here, because most of the time when I turn on this, I use the bowl gouge with a fingernail grind. So I take a black marker and I just marked on here, and then when you hold it up to the grinder there, you're just going to turn the grinder by your hand and make a little scrape mark here, so that just shows you're at the same angle here, so you can get thousands of grinds out of one tool. And then, why would you turn a square bowl? This is the one we were working on. And because you want to challenge yourself, and you might only start with a 4-inch bowl or something smaller, but get a good piece of wood, and you'll learn how to use the tool more and things like I showed you in the video. And here's one that I did earlier. This one's out of rosewood, and you can see the grain in the wood's a little bit different. It's in this bowl's in the center this way, but it's longer on this side. Some people like that look of being different. And that concludes this demo of turning a wing bowl.